fin setting. Yeah, look, if you want it as a 5, we can build it as a 5. That's your call. If you think you're going to want to use it as a quad. Personally, I don't think there's enough range in a quad. Like a thrust is just a good, reliable board. I don't know. For me personally, I've never got a quad. I've never been completely satisfied with the quad. You know, like I'll have even on days where I'm having a great surf on one, and I'll just do like 2 of the best turns I've ever done, and then I go to do a 3rd one, and I just completely spin out and lose it. And I'm like, what happened there? You know, so I've always found quads to be sort of very temperamental, but you can have good surfs on them. Look, this board's not a small wave board, so I think I've had quads that have been great in super soft small waves. The other times is when you've got a fast down the line wave and you want to kind of hold a higher line, and yeah, this board, it will hold a good line on a faster down the line wave. So yeah, there are times where you may want to ride it as a quad on this particular design. So yeah, it won't be a waste of time. But what about, do you have other boards that are set up with 5 fins?
Yeah, not those 5, no.
No,
just as a quad.
All right, just as a quad. Okay.
Yeah, just my fish. It's a quad.
Yeah. All right. So you don't have the option. Yeah.
Do you see disadvantage of having like let's say he has 5 plugs and he just uses 3 fins all the time?
Then there's no advantage of having the extra 2 at all.
No.
Just adds extra weight and, you know, kills the flex a bit in the tail. Like if you're changing from thruster to quad a lot, then for sure, you know, it kind of makes sense to have it if there's advantages to it. Look, I would say the one condition where the quad is going to be good is if you've got a really fast wave, like a real down the line wave, where if you just take off and drop straight down, you can't get enough speed out of the bottom turn to pull up onto the wall and maintain your down the line speed. Like the wave just sort of runs away from you. So where it's advantageous to have a quad is where you've got a fast down the line wave and you want to drop in and just stay high and just run with the wall on a very vertical face, and then you're going to have plenty of hold from those 2 side fins, and you'll be able to hold the face very high and not even need to kind of drop down and sweep into a bottom turn, but you'll literally just angle right from the beginning. And so, you know, if you can think of some places where you've got a point break that's super fast, that doesn't really give you the time to drop in and bottom turn and come back up, but you've just got to angle and run straight away as much down the line speed as you can get and hold a high line, that's when the quad will have an advantage. And that's probably about the only place that I would see a quad working well on this board, because it's not really a small wave board, so you won't ride it in smaller conditions as a quad. You'll just, so if there's anywhere where you're going where you think you might come across those conditions, then you know, then you're covered for this board. Yeah. So, but if you don't know of any waves, like generally Indo has some waves like that. There's one wave I can think of, Belangen. There's a few quite racy waves in Indo. I don't know if Sri Lanka's got any really sort of fast waves.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but Morocco maybe.
Yeah.
So I think I will take it as a multi-fin.
Okay. Cool.
What's the disadvantage? I mean, how much weight are we going to add, and then, you know, does it do anything to the stiffness, or it's just, oh, you better get another board for that other time? It's not worth it. That little bit of weight. I think what's about 150 gram more, those 2 plugs.
What's an FCS plug? 20 grams or something?
Yeah, and then the resin that we put in, it's probably about, I think, 40 for each side. Then the glass, yeah, probably about 150 to.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you're looking for the last amount of, I mean, 150 grams, you feel it. You can already feel it. So it's
Yeah. Well, if you're talking about
like Bert when he's making his boards, he doesn't let anybody touch it because he wants to have the last gram out of it. Doesn't put any fiber over it. Basically, our worker looking at that fiberglass is already oversanding it. So only Bert can send his boards.
Well, the staff made my last board with me, and it was like, Martin forced me to take it.
Yeah, well, but at least you could ride it. And at least I had one. Yeah, alright, let's go for it then.
Do you have, that's another question, a take on different fin plug systems? Like, let's say, like with FTS2, will you do that as well? Or?
Can do. In our construction, FCS works really well. Like, I had a board years back that had set fins in it. It was like a favourite board. I had it for like 5 years. I couldn't fault it. And then I started playing around with, like prior to using fin systems, like years back, if I wanted to experiment with fins, I'd have to go back to the factory, grind my fins out, glass a new set of fins on, and that was a painful experience, you know, trying new fins, doing it the old-fashioned way. So then I started using Future's fin system and started making my own fins with a Future's base, and that enabled me to sort of experiment with fins. But I ended up having this one board. It was a beautiful board. I couldn't fault it. I had it for 5 years, and then I thought, okay, I'll put some Futures boxes in it, and I made the exact same fins as a starting point, but now they were in a box. Board just didn't work as good. And I'm like, what the hell? I put fin boxes in it, and what I'd done is I had the box was longer than the fins, and so what I'd done is I'd created more of a rigid point in the board. I could have created a long sort of stiff point, because if I've got something that I can bend.
The book.
The book? Okay. Yeah, alright, the book will work. Yeah. So normally when you bend something, you'll get an even curve. And then if you create a spot that doesn't want to bend, if you create a spot that doesn't want to bend because you put like a box in it, you'll create like a stiff point, and then the flex is like uneven. And the other thing I did too was when I put the boxes in, I tied them to the deck of the board. Okay, so what happens is when something bends, can you see, like as I bend that, these pages are sliding past one another as I go from there, okay, then as I go to that side, and so you see as something bends, it experiences shear motion, okay, so literally as I'm bending this book, the pages are literally sliding past one another. So if I now lock those together, it becomes a lot harder to bend. Okay, so basically by stopping the shear motion, you're killing the flex. And so by putting a fin system in, putting Futures in, two things. I created a longer, more rigid point, which stopped the flex, plus I also tied the boxes to the deck, which stopped the shear movement. And so then I found that by putting the Futures boxes in, the board just didn't go as good. It just wasn't as good off the tail anymore. So I was like, kill that, you know, destroyed a good board. Then when I started using FCS, I found that my boards went better than set fins, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. Like, you know, how's that possible? And then what I realised was that you've got the plug here and the plug here. The board was actually able to flex underneath the fin, which is what it wouldn't even do with a set fin. And so FCS in our boards, I actually feel is the best fin system for our construction, because it just enables the whole tail to flex a lot more evenly without creating rigid points, because it can literally flex under the tabs. Yeah.
And not even the FCS Fusion box, which is already kind of also one part, is also not as good.
Yeah.
And okay, to answer the question though,
Yes, to the same.
yeah, the new system is like a Fusion box, so it's already got it's almost like a Future box almost. The new system is like a box, so therefore it's actually worse for the board performance. It's really nice, of course, if you want to just in and out, we tried it, it's good. Another problem why we don't really, we can use for anybody anyway. We are making him a board now. If he wants this, we put it in. That's no problem. We have the boxes available. Another problem is, if you use this system now, they have a patent on it. We must use their fins. Meaning we have two problems. Right now, at this moment, there aren't many available, so you can only have certain shapes. Plus, Bert creates, for all the boards, we have our own foil. Bert, we are using his fin shapes, meaning we couldn't get these fins, which are perfect for the board. So that's another reason why we kind of don't want to do it, because we can not just ask a factory to make our own fins, because then we are going against their patent and they can sue us. So it's a little bit of a, yeah, we have customers in Japan, they want the latest and newest thing, they want those things and we can make it, but then we have an issue with the fins as well. But yeah, if you really wanted it, no problem. If you buy your own fins.
This one bag.
The bag, I put it away.
Was that down here? It's just down there. That's it. Yeah, cool. All right. I just wanted to write down the fin settings, and we're good. All right. Well, I'm going to hit save on this shape. I'm pretty stoked with that. And yeah, all right. I think we're all good. We've just got to write down the fin settings, and yeah, it's pretty sweet. What about it?
What will you do about the concave? You just do it on your own, or?
Well, I wasn't going to worry about it. Like, these boards actually work best as a flat bottom. So, yeah. So when you feel it, like you can. Remember before I was talking about how with a PU, this contour is the most effective in a PU.